that first conversation. So my issue is making sure that we have a solid next step for that second conversation, because the pain is dissipating, either I'm not getting enough or whatever, so that's what we role played.
Gotcha.
And what we set up was, I'm gonna have a conversation with my CFO this afternoon to see if it's cool to invest $3,500, right?
Got it.
And so it'll challenge me, my leadership ability to be able to get that $3,500, have the right type of conversation for the $2 million deficit that we're facing. And then, once I get the okay, once we start investing in the assessments, then what happens when I get some pushback from my people? I don't want to rattle their cage, I don't want to get them too far out of their comfort zone, so that they're in fear for their jobs. That's not what it's about. So they'll say, okay, well, that's fine, I'll come in for 45 minutes to an hour, we'll do an executive briefing, and your people are going to want to train for that.
That makes sense.
You may have mentioned this, but what is the exact definition of the executive briefing in this case? Is it you're briefing the reports and that's what we're calling the executive briefing, or you're like going up and like teaching them something for 45 minutes?
It depends on if his people are pushing back against the report and his fear is the report. And so then under the guise of I'll review the reports from the front of the room, I'm still going to do an executive briefing. So I'm going to do the same thing I would, it's just whatever guise he sets it up on. No, my people are confident, they just want to know your style and things like that. Either way, it's going to trigger the same briefing.
Okay, so it's just a briefing on the reports itself.
Yeah.
It's not like you're
Yeah.
giving them, to me, I guess, an
Analyzing
executive
results.
briefing is like we're teaching them something.
No,
Like
I
we're
have a
teaching,
system type.
yeah, exactly. So
Well,
it's
I'm
more of like
baking
content
in-
or curriculum.
I'm baking in the 3 systems. I'm baking
Okay.
in the sales competency scale.
That
I'm
makes
baking
sense.
in things like that, so they think they're learning things, but they're not. I'm just getting their pain.
Because if you're talking about Give It or Ambition and Drive or any
Same.
of those things,
That's
it
ex-
weaves into
those
Fire
5
Seller
things
Games
that we
anyway.
talked about, that in the report we did last time,
Mhm.
those 5 things will be intimate here. Here's your sales motor, gentlemen. Let me tell you about this. And so let's see
Okay.
your sales motor. And so we're going to see yours a little bit less than average. And so
Yeah.
there's something holding you back, and I'm not sure what it is. But let me tell you what could be holding you back. Here's what prospects might be doing to you. Now, if this happens to you enough times, it's going to ding that sales motor and it's going to put it in neutral.
Right.
And so I'm going to bridge back and forth to the killer weaknesses in this when I do that. So we'll do that next time. You can video from the back room. We'll set the U up in here.
Good idea.
Yeah.
What about after, like if it's just a solo rabbit who's coming in and you've met with them for a first meeting, then they're coming in to observe training. Is it a value to like figure out what that meeting sounds like after they've observed the class and what the next step is, like getting them to commit to yes or no? I don't know, do you guys have issues with that or?
I do.
I don't know.
Here's my issue with that. Many times, we let people into training without a good pain step, without this process right now. If I weren't going to if he were just an individual, I wouldn't set the evaluations on the tee as hard as I did. I would do 3 pain funnels, and at the end of it, I would put him in class to learn, and then I would sell the evaluation after class. So it depends on what I'm experiencing here. Too many times I've had people in here who I know haven't had a good sales call on. They're not in pain, they're just intellectual in here, and they love this, but they're never going to move forward. And that's why my closing rate, putting people in here, is above 85%. Once I get them in here, they're not getting away. Here's the challenge. It's not the same for the company now, though, because I think we're doing light pain steps, we're finding interest, we're hoping that this closes them, and it's not strong enough to close them.
Yeah.
You don't have the money to pay.
You just summed up exactly what, so when we look at the guests that I've had over the past month or two, one of them are going to end up becoming clients out of the 7 or 8 people that are there, which is not enough. Especially considering we had some people in the room that were high-level people that this would.
You have good people
really-
in the room.
It would greatly benefit, but it's not enough because we didn't have enough pain going into it. That's on me.
That's right. Well, you know what it is? It's an awareness thing. It's an after-the-fact awareness thing. It's not on you as
Right.
much as if you weren't aware, you couldn't do anything any
Right.
different. So,
Right.
I think that the challenge in an awareness thing is now that you're aware and now that you have this, take this right to the point of not selling the evaluation, to the point of, does it make sense for you to come in and see what we do? And then after that, meet with me for 45 minutes, and we'll talk a little bit about what you saw, how what you saw could affect you, and whether it makes sense to do something.
Okay, so that's another good role play then, that I'm gonna jot down, is the conversation that we're having with them immediately after they're a guest in one of our programs.
Yeah, Because at closing, everybody who observes should be held to the closing rate of 85% or above. That's Fox and the henhouse stuff. Because then you alert the trainer, hey, I've got a guy in here who's bleeding. Here's what he's bleeding over. I want you to find a way to poke that when he's in there.
I used to, when I first started, I was famous for getting,
And
I'd get people to
that's why I'm
come in
pointing at you.
because I wanted, okay, Bill, put them in pain.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, I had to have them in pain in the first place,
Right.
and then they would close.
Right.
See, and that's the idea, because three of us can do so much from the front of the room to put them in pain, but they have to be able to relate it to the pain they had individually with you in the meeting to say, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
And by the way, look at all these other people in here doing the same thing.
Right.
So that we've not created the awareness on their part when they're in here in general.
That was my biggest mistake. As soon as I stopped doing that, make sure I got them in correct pain, then when I do invite people in, they close. It's pretty much a no-brainer, so.
And
there are very few.
and those are subtleties that will close your rabbits. It'll make investing time with a rabbit right.
Worthwhile.
Yeah, exactly, because if not, it's a lot of wasted time when we could be doing things with
Yeah.
bigger companies, and so that says, okay, if that's the case, you're getting enough people in here. We just need to make sure that, the cuffs go on when they're in here, they're never going anywhere.
That's a nice visual. Yeah, I like that.
We should leave handcuffs on the tables, right?
Plastic ones.
When you come in here, just put these on when you're learning. I know it'll be difficult, right?
Might be a little bit more
You're not
difficult.
kidding.
So thanks for bringing that one up, because that one's very important.
Well, you're in front of a lot of people. You're a YPN, you're gonna be in front of a lot of people. You're in front of a lot of people at your associations, and you're just going to be. And so you wanna make sure that when they come into those people really see the splendor that could be in their life.
Mhm. So that unconditional commitment piece is really, really big, because that sets the precedent for the entire meeting. That sets the stage, the environment. And if we
Well,
can, 'cause
we can lose early. If I can't get you to the place of unconditional commitment, I can say, well, let's spend about 10 minutes. I'm gonna save you some time here because you just might wanna learn some things. I hope you're not offended, but I don't see you do anything with them.
Mhm.
So that's gonna be the takeaway, the negative reverse that goes along with it.
Right.
You didn't take me to that point, but it took me 3 times to get you to say what I needed you to say.
And that's taking somebody from soft interest, or I'm open to, yeah, let's sit down, let's have a conversation, to now we're getting serious, and we're having a very in-depth conversation about my commitment level and being successful, and by God, who's going to say, well, I'm just not that committed.
It's the exact move that Sandler made to close me into this business. It is the exact word-for-word move he made. Before we even talked about this business, he challenged my commitment. Bartlett, I'm paying for your flight to Baltimore anyway, so what's the commitment on your part, a day of your life? So before we go forward, tell me what your commitment is to find a business that can pay you X over the course of a year. Well, I'd like to do it. Yeah, but you're coming from the corporate world. You can always go back into corporate America, right? It's not a big deal to you. So too many people have sat on that couch, Bartlett, and said, I'd like to do it, but in essence, and I hope you're not offended, they waste my time. So are you wasting my time? And that's exactly what he said, with no nurturing at all.
Like a blunt instrument.
No, it wasn't. And
Was that his process, or is that because he knew your personality?
sized me up as a high D.
Knew you were a high D.
Sized me up as a high D.
Okay.
And you
So
challenge
that's
a
his
high D.
application.
Yeah, sized me up. Because the people there were 5 of us sitting on the couch. And he said, I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna ask you the same question that I'm asking Bartlett. You have the advantage of hearing this stuff up front. So, Jim, what about you? I'm really not committed. He said, okay, good. Go out front. I can't remember her name, good-looking blonde at the front desk. Sandy. Sandy will give you your money back. And he said, no big deal. Thank you for coming. Just wait. I want to say goodbye to you. Sarah, you, same thing. Good. Go ahead. Next 2 guys. I'm in. So 3 of the 5 he closed on the spot, right? The other 2 he walked out to the front desk and said, look, I was a little harsh on you, and I think I might have turned you off. If I approached this differently, do you think you would have made the commitment? Closed all 5 of us that day.
Follow this
One more question.
In an hour, it was $200,000 worth of money.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, it's just, that's what said to me, I better be doing the same thing to others. I better not be wasting my time with people who are just professional visitors.
Right. Well, and obviously you've been very successful doing it. So again, it's changing the mindset from let's have a conversation to let's have a very specific, directed conversation where I'm challenging you right up front.
And you can do it without being a jerk.
Right.
If one of the things that when you watch that, you pick up is that I went not okay each time, but I had to keep coming back and doing it. So
Right.
I went very not okay the last time, saying, I know I'm stuck on this and I apologize
Yeah.
to you, and it's my issue, but.
Yeah.
We've got 10
I was
minutes. Do you
trying
want to, you said you wanted to do it to Bill.
Yes.
Is 10 minutes enough time for you to do that, or would you rather just talk about it?
Probably not,
Oh,
but
okay.
we could set up a coaching call to do it for you and I. What the hell was I just gonna say? I forgot.
That's my bad, sorry.
No, it's all good.
I was just going by what we said in the beginning, that's all.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's the rabbit, think about it, I'll just do a little.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Process on, I'm watching.
You say- Oh, okay, so what I was gonna say is that I told Bill, I told everybody here, that the rabbits that I've been meeting with are very non-committal oftentimes. It's
Got it.
slippery, and so I was trying to role play.
You'll see the role
a
play.
very slippery, non-committal,
Cool.
unsure
Okay.
type of a leader.
Got it.
And so he kept, again, the pain funnel, right, strip line, reverse, negative, reverse, just.
You'll see.
The upside,
Yeah.
the no word
Yep,
pain
you'll
funnel.
see it.
Right,
I
just
love
kept
that.
bringing me back in, and so I would go off track a little bit, and he would keep bringing me back in, go off track, and he'd bring me back in, so that's enough for me to just, I need to internalize that. and
Yeah.
master that.
Yeah, that was, that role play you and I did months and months and months ago with the no words in the pain funnel and just.
That's
reversed
6, 7 months ago.
That changed everything. That literally changed everything. Something, you drew it too, and it just, I stopped focusing on the literal words.
Well, it became conversational at that point.
Yep.
This was conversational, as you'll see when you watch
Yeah.
it, in that it bellied a couple times, but it always came back in.
Yeah.
It bellied again, then it came back
Yeah,
in, and
always
so
roping it
still
back in.
going in the same direction.
That makes sense.
And also it gave me a chance, I never asked you the question, literally, how long has this been an issue? I made you create the framework where it was a year.
Right,
And so,
tell me about,
when you first recognized this,
Right.
did you recognize it today when we talked? Well, no. Well, when did you? So now you're building framework for me.
exactly.
That's a year. And then I question now, not what have you tried to do about it, but what impact it could have had on you.
Mhm.
And then you told me, and so you're gonna see some things in here that's a real conversational pain funnel.
Yeah, that's gold. Yet again.
Well, we got about 7 minutes left. What would you like to do in the last 7?
Any ideas, Tim, anything you wanna see?
I'm processing, I'm sorry.
Could you depict that pain funnel for me? Could you draw it out? What Tim was just talking about?
So that's my bridge, that's my funnel in rough terms, and so it won't be exact every time, but each one of the answers requires you to do something like this. And so, to Tim's point, this is all he has in his mind now, is that type of flow. And so there's there's that whole challenge of, what am I interested in? Strip line, I hear that a lot. Tell me more about that, reverse. And so, in that reverse, you're going to get more information out of that. And then specific, strip line again. So now at the end of this, 2 strip lines and a reverse make them feel good about what they're telling me, which is in the exploration phase, why I'm getting additional data. So it's creating a stage here. Here, in the middle emotional area, in order to get emotion, you've got to take away. So these 3 things are designed for takeaway to get emotion. And that's where emotion is going to come from, is them defending their castle. And that's why there's nothing really nurturing in here. There's more getting them to defend, and if they can't defend, anxiety, fear, frustration coming out. And then in the bottom, the challenge is, we know that's rational decision. Well, rational decision, they have to feel good again, and they have to give more information. They have to negative reverse when it comes to how they feel about it. And so, the issue is, this comes down to the stroke. And so all this filters down into a final stroke. What were you hoping I could do? Well, I was hoping you could train my people. The stroke. Thanks. Many people don't come to that conclusion. Let's talk a little bit about that. Stroke is going to be key, so that at the end of a pain funnel, ironically enough, they feel good.
Well, and then the negative reverse that I think you threw out there, maybe it was even a strip line, and confusing it too, was I talked to some people, and sometimes they tell me $1.1 million is a lot of money.
And that's, when it comes to cost, strip line and then reverse. And so those 2 things coming together.
Because you don't want to make assumptions at that point.
That's exactly it. Strip line makes them feel good. You just did the strip line, but the reverse has to be, how do you feel about it?
Right, right.
So there's a flow of questioning strategies here that really, this is a senior class. This is not a foundations class. This is a senior pain class, just the way it is here. So you want to really make impact, and that's when I taught it to Tim after I did it in class. He sat in here for it, and it was like I'd given them liquid gold at that point. Now, I don't think they can still do this, I guarantee you that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
In the
hell of a model.
last PC pain class that I taught just a couple weeks ago, that's essentially what we did.
I remember you came in and said that.
They were just blown away, because I said, you can't use any one of those words at all.
Mhm.
And so here's the challenge, and it made them stop, drop, and roll, because they really they're so stuck in the literal part of the pain, the words, that, it's not a pain funnel, it's the pain tube that you talk about all the time.
BB.
Right, it just goes,
Oh.
boom, there it is. And this changed everything, because for me at least, it became, it's the intellectual and the artwork blended together, and that's where, that's just gold.
This is so in your wheelhouse, just as it was in his right away. Once you see this, you'll never be able to do it a different way, I
I totally
guarantee
agree.
you. So it's one of those things that it allows you to have fun with it. And that's why, when I taught this to the franchisees on Friday, it was like, what are you talking about? This is the pain funnel.
Right.
This is heresy.
What the hell's that?
We should get a cross and burn you.
Yeah, that was probably over their heads.
No, I said that to Mattson this morning. I started talking to him at 5 o'clock this morning. We wound up hanging up. I had to take a break to shower. And then I said, it was a mess on Friday. You should be embarrassed at your franchisees and coaches. So,
No wonder why they're not buying materials.
well, that's what I said to him. That's exactly what I said. And so we had a 4 o'clock conversation today about this. Hour number 4.
Think about it, come back to me with some ideas.
That's awesome.
But that's the process that really makes people go into pain without realizing you're doing something to them. Here, they realize what you're doing. They see this whole
Yeah,
thing.
they know what it is, right.
So many people talk about pain now and have stolen our stuff. They see it. Here, you don't see anything. So for me, that was just, and I did it because it's funny, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I did. I was in front of a prospect that I shouldn't have been in front of. A suspect that just had no money, no nothing, and I thought, I'm playing. I am playing. And this was the play. And then I couldn't wait to get to the car, I disqualified him after I got the car, wrote it all down. So it wasn't I closed him with this, it was like, yeah, I got done with you, let me just write this.
That was good, I gotta write it down, hurry. So great.
That's the fun stuff about playing with people, as I even say to Sean, the people that you know aren't gonna do anything, it's when you get to use your best moves.
Right, exactly.
But that changed everything in my whole world. I mean, everything, because you and I had role-played this one out lots of times.
Well,
Pain is so important.
And for you, this became intellectual, because you could get through this in a hurry.
No question.
Yeah.
It was definitely a tube, and I was always doing tubes, and once I stopped doing pain tubes and I turned it into that, then it was,
Well,
forget
and
about it.
the other end of this is, you should be doing the same thing in your upfront contract. That's what takes me so long to build a good upfront contract. We took a long time
Yes.
to build an upfront contract when we were here, zigging, zagging, how much time,
Right.
what do you wanna learn, prioritize that. And so the upfront contract should have all that embedded in it too, so that you're not just accepting their answers. By the time we got to a pain funnel, and we were at 30 minutes.
Yeah, I really like the theory, the notion of let's take a long time to build that upfront contract versus just spitting it out all at once upfront. Because it does seem, even if you're doing it very conversationally, it does seem a little inappropriate sometimes out of place, so.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're at our mark. Comfortable?
Very comfortable. I need to review the tape.
Good.
There's no doubt about that.
Good, let's-
But this was awesome. Thank
Good.
you.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And so it wound up being something that started one way but went another way. And I think the value of it, now we can go back and, if you're gonna build other role plays, we can go back and build them any way you
I've
want.
got a
but-
couple of them already built out here, so.
Good. Schedule them when you want them.
Okay.
Sorry about the late
No worries, man.
It happens.
registration,
You'll
took
get,
forever.
you'll get full value once you see this.
Yep.
And should happen, so,
That's aggravated. 'cause I
should
like
happen.
this stuff.
Let's not